So thank you all for coming today. We have a number of updates. I'm going to start, given the fact that it's currently raining, to talk about, give a brief update on flood conditions. So this morning we received over an inch of rainfall, which combined with the snow melt has resulted in areas of flooding throughout the city, as I'm sure many of you have noticed. It appears the rain is slowing down, so we should be through the worst in terms of heavy rainfall. According to the National Weather Service, we remain under a flood advisory until 5 p.m. Much of the flooding is caused by leaves and other debris, including trash, blocking the catch basins along city streets. There are over 13,000 catch basins throughout the city. Our DPW crews are continuing to work, as they have over the last few days, in preparation for the melting snow and rainfall, to open and clear the catch basins to ensure water is draining properly. If anyone in the public sees areas of flooding, we encourage you to contact City Line at 315-448-CITY. Now we'll move on to talk about our snow safety plan. So as you can see, I'm joined by a number of partners here. I'm going to go through many of them. I'm joined by our Common Council President, Helen Hudson. Thank you, Helen, for joining us. Also, a number of other members of the Common Council. Our Public Works Chair, Chad Ryan, was not able to join us. He's under the weather, but he has been involved in helping us put together this plan and is supportive. Other councilors in attendance, we have Councilor Bay, Councilor Allen, Councilor Boyle, Councilor Thompson, Councilor Driscoll. Miss anybody? Councilors Rudd and Councilors Carney were not able to make it, but I've also been in touch with them. We have our Chief of Police, Frank Fowler, our Fire Chief, Michael Mons. We have our Deputy DPW Commissioner, Marty Davis, who's been holding it down for us here at DPW. But I'm also very pleased to introduce our new DPW Commissioner, Jeremy Robertson, who's with us, not officially on the job, but already here making sure he's ready to hit the ground running on Tuesday next week. We have our Parks and Recreation Commissioner, Lazar Sims, here. We have our Deputy Mayor, Sharon Owens, Director of City Operations, Corey Driscoll Dunham, our Chief Data Officer, Sam Edelstein, also Adria Finch in Samantha from the I-Team. We have Onondaga Earth Corps Executive Director, Greg Michael, and his crew here as well as a number of others, so thank you all for joining us. So we're going to give you an update here on our safety plan. So we are going to be taking some immediate steps to address snow clearance from sidewalks, streets, and around fire hydrants. As we all know, snow-covered sidewalks are a serious hazard to pedestrians, and illegally parked cars during snow events create safety problems for residents and the DPW as they're trying to plow our streets. With the city leading the way, it's time for all of us to pull together, as evidenced by the group here today, to improve our response to dangerous snow conditions. That begins today and will continue from this day forward. I want to thank everyone around me here for the hard work and partnership over the past 48 hours, and I'm pleased to announce the details of the plan, which contain 4 primary commitments that we, the City of Syracuse, are making. First, ensuring timely snow removal from sidewalks in all city-owned properties. That's city-owned sidewalks and sidewalks along all city-owned properties. Increasing awareness of existing ordinances and responsibilities for city residents, and developing a long-term sidewalk plan. Third, using city data to step up enforcement of parking regulations in priority spots throughout the city, as well as violations by private plow operators. And fourth, engaging city residents in reporting problem sidewalks and in developing solutions to the sidewalk snow removal issues that we're facing. Commitment number 1, sidewalk clearance on city-owned properties. Snow will be removed from the sidewalks and rights-of-way around city properties in keeping with city ordinances. All department heads and facility managers have committed to ensure snow is removed as quickly as possible during snowstorms. It starts with us. For our second commitment, I'm going to turn it over to Council President Helen Hudson. Helen?
Thank you. And for our second commitment, I believe that people should have the right to walk in the streets. They shouldn't have to walk in the streets during a snowstorm. And everyone should be able to get off their streets when they need to, except for when it's really the worst of conditions. We're hearing the concerns of our neighbors on the council, and we're taking action. One thing we can do is follow the existing ordinance. And for the ordinances, here are some of the breakdowns. Sidewalks, all city property owners are required to remove snow from sidewalks on their property within 24 hours, depending on weather conditions. Then we can all work on all of our properties. owners to complete their civic responsibility and ensure the safety of their fellow residents. We need help from all of our residents on collecting sidewalk conditions. Residents can now report unshoveled sidewalks online at a new snow issues tracker using cityline.syrgov.net. Data collected on CityLine will help the city develop long-term solutions. Parking. Vehicles parked on the wrong side of the street or failing to comply with snow emergency parking guidelines will be ticketed and towed. Private plow operators. Private plow operators are subject to a $150 fine for plowing snow into the right-of-ways or for blocking sidewalks. Property owners are subject to a $100 fines for the violation. I want to take a moment now to introduce to you Greg Michaels, the Executive Director of the Onondaga Earth Corps and his team. The city contracts with Onondaga Earth Corps to have its members clear sidewalks in areas around schools and parks. His team was out this week and they will be out tomorrow and this weekend addressing problem areas under the direction of the Parks Department. Mr. Michaels.
Thank you. You want to just give a quick overview and then we'll jump right back into it.
Sure. So the Onondaga Earth Corps is a youth conservation corps program, and our mission is to empower young people through the environment, through civic engagement. And we've been in partnership with the city for, this will be our third year doing sidewalk snow removal in collaboration with the Parks Department in areas where they have trouble accessing with heavy equipment. We come in with shovels and snow blowers, so we're providing employment for young people. We also have done surveys in the community to try to understand what the challenges are for pedestrians and what people have the appetite for. So our young people are not only doing labor and removing snow, but they're also engaging with the community, learning new skills in communication and how to solve problems in the community. So we're excited to be engaged again this year.
Great. Thank you, Greg. Thank you to the Earth Corps team, and thank you to the council for supporting their important work. Thank you, Council President Hudson. So moving on to commitment number 3, Common Council President went over the ordinances, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about increased enforcement of parking and private plow operator violations. So in partnership with the I-Team using data as well as on-the-ground experience through DPW, we have identified priority parking enforcement streets by quadrants of the city. The streets represent narrow city streets with more than 35 properties on a block and 25% or more 2- and 3-unit properties, as well as additional streets identified as problem points from DPW as I indicated. The Syracuse Police Department, thanks to Chief Fowler and his team in coordination with DPW, will increase enforcement first around critical infrastructure, such as hospitals and public safety facilities, and on steep hills in the city. And then we'll move on to those priority streets as well as throughout the rest of the city in that order. I'm going to read to you the full list of priority streets. It's also in the press release if you want to take a look at it. In the northeast quadrant, the 100 and 300 blocks of Collingwood Ave, the 100 block of Durston Ave, the 100 block of Jasper Street, 100 block of Mildred Ave, 200 block of Nichols Ave, the 100 block of Paul Ave, the 100 block of Peck Ave. In the southeast quadrant, the 500 block of Clarendon Street, 100 block of Redfield Place, 200 block of Robert Drive, 200 block and 300 block of Roosevelt Ave, the 800 block of Sumner Ave. In the northwest quadrant, the 300 block of Apple Street, the 200 block of Bryant Ave, the 100 block of Steuben Street, and the 200 block of Tennyson Ave. And finally, in the southwest quadrant, the 100 block of Bell Ave, 100 and 200 block of Calthrop Ave, 100 block of Fernwood Ave, 100 block of Matson Ave, 300 block of Newell Street, 100 block of Ostrander Ave, 100 block of Parkside Ave, 100 block of Parkway Drive, 200 block of Reed Ave, and the 100 block of Reed Ave. I want to be clear, enforcement will be increased throughout the city, starting with our critical infrastructure and these priority streets. Cars will be ticketed and towed. It's a public safety issue. In priority areas and in other parts of the city, DPW supervisors and Syracuse police will also be issuing tickets to property owners and private plow operators who illegally push snow into the rights-of-way and who block sidewalk access per the ordinance that the Common Council passed in 2015. Finally, our fourth commitment is we will be holding a snow safety summit on February 15th. We would all acknowledge that what we've laid out here today is our significant steps towards a comprehensive solution, but they don't represent a comprehensive long-term solution for snow. Councilor Hudson, as well as the entire council, and I are committed to working together to implement an effective long-term solution to the sidewalk clearance problem. Things that we are going to consider: reinstituting fines for failure to comply with existing ordinances, applying a special assessment or fee on property owners to fund sidewalk snow removal, and conducting pilot projects as soon as possible to test effective solutions. The council and I also want to announce today that the city's innovation team, as I mentioned, will host a snow safety summit on Thursday, February 15th to gain additional input and ideas from city residents. The event will be held from 6 to 8 p.m. on the 15th at Dr. Weeks Elementary School at 710 Hawley Ave. It will help the city identify the best and most effective approaches to clearing sidewalks. So just to recap, the 4 key points I want everyone to remember. The city is committed to leading the way and will clear the sidewalks in front of our properties. We want to remind property owners that it is their civic duty to shovel their sidewalks. We are stepping up enforcement using data to guide us. While enforcement will be citywide, we'll start in the areas that are most likely to have problems. And we are committed to implementing a long-term solution to sidewalk clearance, and we'll host a snow safety summit on February 15th to move that forward. One other issue I want to address is fire hydrant access. It is critical that property owners with fire hydrants in front of their properties clear an area of 3 feet all the way around the hydrant. Again, we're talking about the difference between life and death, and having clear fire hydrants that the fire department can access can save lives. So Chief Mons, the fire department, all of us would appreciate your cooperation, the citizens' cooperation, and as they always do, the fire department will be out helping with that clearance. I want to make sure I covered everything. Did we hit city line and reporting? Yep. Okay. I think that covers it. I'm happy to open it up to questions. And again, thank you to everyone here for joining us. We can't solve it alone. We have to work together. And I think as you see here today, we're ready to do that. Questions?
And the 2015 ordinance, I believe, is complaint driven. So are we going to be more proactive? Are you going to be not just responding to complaints to enforce this in the coming week and actively going out and seeking out driveways that are blocked, sidewalks that are blocked?
DPW and the police department are prepared to be proactive. We have received complaints. We know where a lot of the problem properties are, and we're gonna go out and we're gonna enforce that ordinance.
What's this going to look like? Are there going to be officers specifically dedicated just to enforcing this?
DPW supervisors are authorized to issue tickets and are working with the police department to begin issuing tickets to commercial plow operators. The police department, through community policing and patrol, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, will be out in addition to that ticketing illegally parked vehicles to make sure that snowplows can get through these narrow streets.
There was a woman killed Tuesday up on North Franklin Street. This might be for you, Chief, but is there any indication that she was on the street because of a snowy sidewalk or because the sidewalk was blocked?
I don't know if you want to answer that specifically, Chief. Well, I was just going to say our thoughts and prayers are with the family. I think that was certainly a sobering reminder to all of us how high the stakes are here to making sure that our sidewalks and our streets are clear. Chief, I don't know if you want to add anything specific to the case.
There's nothing else I would add.
Okay.
Mayor, I think one of the complaints we get the most in the mayor's room is, and I'm sure they get them on City Line and everybody here, is my street's not plowed. It's been not just a day, 2 days. I live on a side street, one of the main arteries, but it's not. How do you address this? I know these are unusual circumstances to get 1.5 feet of snow in 12 hours, and most recently over and over. But what do we say to people who are on those side streets that feel like the plow's just not getting there?
Yeah, there is a priority system in place. We have to make sure that hills and streets connecting to critical infrastructure are addressed first and foremost. Eventually, we do get to the side streets, understandably, perhaps not as quickly as people would like. If at any point a resident does not feel like The plow has been through within an adequate amount of time. They can call City Line at 448 City. We do have GPS trackers on our plows. We know where they have and haven't been, and we will certainly log that information to make sure it's addressed as soon as possible.
Is there any indication that there's just less staff and less plows out there to do the same amount of mileage to keep up with the snow that's out there, or?
I was out here the other night with the plow drivers. They are working as hard as they possibly can. Of course, resources are always a consideration, but we believe when all of our equipment is fully operational and we're fully staffed, we can meet the snow clearance needs of the streets. But obviously, we have some work to do on sidewalks and other areas of the city.
Are you hearing from residents? Are they complaining about the sidewalks? And do you think it's really just a matter of police or whoever, DPW, not enforcing property owners to, to clear their sidewalks?
We have received complaints. We know it's an issue. We're all city residents. We see it on our own streets. But as I said before, we can't do it alone. The city can't do it alone. We need help from the citizens to do their part as we work towards a more comprehensive solution. So it has to be a team effort, but what we're here to say is we acknowledge it starts with us here at the city.
What about the Rochester sidewalk removal program?
Again, I've mentioned that before. That's a program that we're looking at. Some of our staff are going to be taking a trip to Rochester to better understand their model. And again, that's what the council is committed to working on the administration with to identify, again, that long-term comprehensive solution.
So we're clearing up at all, Mayor, exactly what is a homeowner, property owner's responsibility and what does fall on the city. Because the city's going to clear all their things, but I'm sure some homeowners understand, maybe many others don't, what is whose responsibility.
It is the property owner's responsibility to clear their sidewalks within 24 hours of the snow event.
So it's in front of your house. Don't think that that's just public and a city right-of-way. That
Correct.
is yours.
That's correct.
You suggested people call City Line if they see a neighbor whose sidewalk isn't shoveled. Is that solely for collecting data? Because there's no real...
At this point, it is. As I think we all know, we do not have an effective enforcement mechanism in place right now. So what we're doing as we work towards that longer-term solution, we're using City Line, not just calling, but if you go on the City Line website right now, you will see we have a new front page and a new functionality that allows people to identify those problem areas. We're going to work very closely with the I-Team and DPW to use that information to inform our long-term strategy.
And do you talk about what the penalty is if someone's not clearing their sidewalk, be it a homeowner or business?
The challenge right now is there is no penalty. That was removed by the council back in the 1960s, and that's something that we have to look at again. To the extent that we are holding property owners accountable and responsible, we have to look at a fee, but again, I think we have to look beyond that to see if there's a more comprehensive way to approach it that involves the city.
Helen, do you want to talk about why it was removed?
I mean, it was in the 1960s, so I won't go on record as to whether or not Helen was born at that time.
But I do want to say this, though, and to Mayor Walsh's point, we have elderly and we have disabled folks. So since we're talking about as a city being comprehensive, if you know you have a sick or shed-in living next door to you, take a few minutes, go over, knock their snow off the sidewalk, and let's start building our communities and building ourselves as a city.
Neighbors helping neighbors. We intend to be a good neighbor as the city, and we encourage others to be good neighbors as well. Okay? Thank you very much again. Thank you to everybody behind here for being part of the solution. To be continued.